Back. Rachel Galloway spent the last 4 years strengthening the relationship between the United Kingdom and Southeast United States. And now, as her time in Atlanta comes to a close, she is looking back on a remarkable chapter that included, yes, a World Cup, but so much more. Joining us now to talk all about that is Her Majesty's Consul General in Atlanta, Rachel Galloway. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
All right, so you have 2 weeks left here. So this is a bit of an exit interview. As you wrap up your time and you reflect on your 4 years in the British consulate here, do you have an accomplishment that you're most proud of?
I think that as a consulate, so we're a trade mission here based in Atlanta. We're supporting trade between the UK and the US. And I think that a lot of the consulates, you can end up getting trapped in the big cities and only seeing the same thing. And the thing I'm most proud of is that we've worked really hard as a consulate to spend time across the whole of the region, whether that was last year, we went and spent a week in Asheville a year after the hurricane, or a week we spent in Memphis, and just that we've got out and spoken to people and met people who I think don't normally meet diplomats. And that's been something completely new, and I'm really proud of that.
So your region encompass what exactly?
So we cover Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi. So we do political relations, people to people, contacts, culture, sports, as you've already mentioned. But a lot of what we do is about the economy, it's about business, it's about helping American companies in the Southeast who want to export to the UK, want to trade with the UK, and vice versa. So getting UK companies to come here, maybe they want to put headquarters in Atlanta, maybe they're JCB down in Savannah, so just really trying to build and strengthen and take advantage of the massive opportunity there is here in the Southeast.
Well, tell me about that opportunity and how that's changed over your 4 years here. I mean, what's the state of trade between the two countries as you leave?
So our trade between the UK and the US is about $1.2 trillion. We have 1.2 million Americans go to work every day working for British companies.
Wow.
I think maybe 35,000 people in Georgia go to work every day for British companies. So we're just completely intertwined economically. So the UK last year set out its economic strategy, and it had like all these categories. So I read it, that's my job, I read the strategy, and I'm looking advanced manufacturing, financial services, creative industries, life sciences, and it's just basically a list of the things that Georgia is good at. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a fantastic opportunity. How can we take advantage of that in both directions? And that's what we've been working to do.
I think it was Churchill who coined the phrase "a special relationship."
Yes.
Between the U.S. and the UK. How do you see that special relationship moving forward in the let's say the next decade?
Okay. So the first thing is, it feels real, doing my job. I've worked all over the world, and I've always worked so closely with Americans, whether that was in Afghanistan after September 11th, or whether it was in my last job where we were working together on NATO. But then when I arrived here, about a month after I arrived, the Queen passed away. And we did the formal stuff, the people came, signed the book, the governor sends condolences. But I was in Kroger, and people came up to me to say that they were sorry because they heard my accent when I was talking to my kids.
Wow.
And it was that kind of sort of emotional feeling. And then 2 years ago, I was invited to Camden, South Carolina for a ceremony they were doing to reintern soldiers from the Revolutionary War, some of whom were loyalists, so they were British soldiers. And it was kind of this incredibly moving event because, whether they died for the old country or the new, they were, still so patriotic, and we owe them all so much. And then this year's been 250. It's the 250th anniversary. And, it's a strange anniversary for the Brits to celebrate. But actually, what we say is it's the story of the greatest reconciliation. The idea that 250 years later, the things that kind of tore us apart, liberty, freedom, self-determination, are the things that we work together with all over the world. So the answer to your question is, well, we've managed to be friends and allies and the closest of allies for 250 years. So I'm hoping the next 10 years we'll see even more of that.
We can only hope. That's a great point. You're going back home. I want to talk news of the day to a new prime minister.
Yes.
All right. Front page of the paper this morning shows all the different prime ministers in the last 10 years.
Yes.
You're on your 7th.
We are.
What do you need in this moment as a country?
So I think that what you actually have is a new prime minister's come in. He's made very clear that he has some priorities, but that he's continuing what has already been done, what's already positive, with the fastest growing economy in the G7,
Building
for
on
example.
success.
So building on that success. He's coming from running a really big city. And I think that what he's succeeded in there around infrastructure and economy are what the country needs. I took him to this region last year.
Is that right?
Yes, he came out and we went to Raleigh to talk about life sciences and what Manchester could learn from Raleigh and what they've done there. And immediately companies had exchanges in both directions. And he told me that he'd been to Atlanta before.
Okay.
So, you know, we've got someone coming in who's interested in the U.S., has spent time in this region. So I think it's really positive. So, yeah, I think it's a good day in Britain today.
That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that little anecdote. I don't think we knew that prior to now. I got to ask you about the World Cup. 3rd place finish for England.
Yes.
Overall, how do you think it went?
So I thought it was amazing. So I loved the World Cup and the privilege of being in a city that had all those matches and had all those people come, and the busiest fan zone in the whole of the U.S. was amazing. So for 4 years I knew the World Cup was coming, and then for however many months we've known which games were here, and we worked out, we had all these little charts as to what could bring Scotland or England here. We realised really quickly there was no route for Scotland to come to Atlanta. But there were 2 possible games England could play in Atlanta, and they got to play both of them, and it was amazing. It was just being in the stadium at the end of the first match when all the England fans were singing Wonderwall was just like really
You were there?
moving. I was there. I got to see both matches. The second match was also amazing. But for the last, I think, I looked up at the time at minute 74 and we were still 1-0, and I was like, we've lost this match. Because Argentina were just having attempt after attempt. I was surrounded by Argentina fans. So that was a little bit sad for me. But again, it was another amazing day. The atmosphere in the stadium was brilliant.
Everybody behaved themselves?
Everybody behaved themselves. Look, I get all the reports on what's happening, and we were working with
the animosity between the two.
But look, at the beginning of the game, I was a little bit nervous because when they booed the British national anthem.
Oh, okay.
And so then our fans booed their national anthem. And the first 10 minutes, everybody
Off to a
fouled
rough
each
start.
other. And I was just like, oh my God, if this game ends with everybody still on the pitch. And our fans, like me not having to like be dealing with our fans in Atlanta prisons overnight. And it was amazing. Everyone was so good. And the match
I guess
really
you'd be one of the
turned
first
round.
calls if they ended up in prison.
Yeah. So we had lots of people here out talking to the fans, working with them. And, you know, the fans were here to have a good time. They did not want to have any trouble. I saw the mayor of Atlanta after the first match, and he told me the night before the restaurant he'd been in, the England fans had drunk the tap dry.
Well.
So they came to have fun, and they did. They loved the Waymos. They'd never seen those before. And it turns out they love ranch dressing, which...
Yes. And what about you? What are you going to miss about the Southeast?
I'm definitely going to miss the fried chicken. We love that. As a family, Sunday night, we get our Publix fried chicken.
Yeah.
But I've not been persuaded by ranch. I don't even know what ranch is made of.
It doesn't matter, but you dip it in anything.
I know, I've just no, it's not quite got me.
All right, well, we'll work on that. I'm glad you like the fried chicken.
I love the fried chicken.
Did you have Waffle House?
I actually am a proud owner of a Waffle House football jersey, soccer jersey,
Nice.
and a Waffle House soccer ball.
Something to take home with you. Rachel, we're going to miss you. We're grateful for your time here.
Thank you so much.
And please don't be a stranger.
I won't. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rachel Galloway. We're sending her back overseas, back across the pond in just a couple weeks.